impressive. So we are among the top candidates in this. And I should say top if we've said everything that needed to be said. We have a manifesto. We have ideas that people are familiar with. We have a name and the recognition that people understand can stand for them any day. Like I said earlier, I was a presidential candidate that ended the election in 2019 and didn't stop there. I never stopped campaigning. And you mentioned that. I participated in every struggle since 2019, since the last election. Of course, I participated in pretty much every struggle in this country in the last 30 years.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, with the elections drawing closer, some of your competitors are going around the country seeking for endorsements, seeking for blessings, seeking for approval, trying to get the consent of some elder statesmen as it relates to their goals and their dreams of becoming presidents. Many of them are going to the northern parts of the country, to the southwest, down to the east. Are you one of those people who do believe in endorsements from former presidents or past leaders or statesmen or influencers, people who can influence their councils and areas or regions? Do you think you need the support of these people to gain new voters base, gain new believers of the AAC party, or you think it's something you can do on your own?
No, we believe in the endorsement of the people because honestly, Nigeria has been overrating some of the so-called elder statesmen. That's one. But on a principled level, I cannot imagine myself going back to the same characters that ruined this country, that put us in the situation that we're in now, to say, oh, come and endorse me. Are you going to endorse me as a brand that will go back and continue your style of leadership? Definitely not. And most of them have only one vote. That's the truth. So if you go to the people, you are bypassing a whole lot of this overrated so-called elder statesmen. They don't have any constituency in reality because their constituency is not the poor because they're the ones who created the poverty in the first place. Their constituency is not the oppressed because they are the oppressors. Their constituency is a constituency of the people who are holding this country to ransom and who see Nigeria as a property that they own. And I reject that, and I've always rejected that. It's okay, you cannot ask me, for instance, to go back and seek the endorsement of Babangida, who I was one of the people that drove out of power in 1993. Like, how would I? It doesn't make sense. I was more powerful than him in 1993. Why would I go to him and beg for his endorsement in 2023, 30 years after we chased him out of power? Doesn't make sense. It's like you're engaging in reverse gear, whereas you should be moving forward. So I don't do that. I have respect for people. There are opinion leaders out there, but we reach them to understand that, look, this country needs to change. There are those who want the country to change. They know how to endorse. You don't have to have me come to your house and be rolling on the floor, or saying that you can hold my ear anytime. I'm not going to be a leader that will be genuflecting on the altars of fallen gods. Yes.
All right. So you care more about the endorsements of the people above everything else.
And that will happen on February 25th, 2023.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, with your competitors so far, there are quite a lot of them. Of course, so many with other new political parties. Some are the existing parties that have been established all around the country. Do you see yourself in any way approving of any of the personalities so far that have made their intention known to be presidents? Are you in support of any of them? Do you approve of any of them? Or do you believe that you're absolutely the best candidates for the job?
Yes, I believe I'm the best candidate for the job. And I've spoken extensively about a lot of them. When you're campaigning, you're talking about your ideas, your manifesto, and what you're capable of doing. And you're also warning the public of records and pedigrees of your opponents. So I don't have any reason, therefore, to say, oh, I believe in something. I might believe in their person, because this is not war. If I go outside and we meet, we shake hands. It's just as we argue sometimes. I'm sure you've seen some of my videos challenging some of the candidates, whether you're a presidential candidate or you are a deputy or vice. If I see you doing what is wrong, I will say it publicly. I've fought them on sitting, in positions I believe they don't belong to, or challenge them on their records publicly. I've done this in a lot of events, debates, joint events that we've been invited to. But I do not believe that they are fitter or better than myself to become the president of Nigeria. In fact, most of them are people who have been tested before and failed, and they are repackaging themselves to make it look like they have something new to offer. A lot of them are deflated tires. So if you're riding in the, relying on them, you are on a destination to nowhere.
How structured is your party, the AAC party? Do you have members also vying for office in the Senate, in the House of Reps,
Yes.
governors? How structured is your party across the 36
We
states?
have over 201 candidates running for different offices. Aside from not enough, because there were circumstances that confronted the party after I was detained. The party was hijacked, so we had to go to court and retrieve back the party, and we didn't get the party back until June the 2nd, and we had to quickly do primaries. So that's still plenty of candidates that would have participated on our platform. But what we have told people, and which is what everybody is talking about, is that the people who are desirous of freedom and liberation are the structures of our party. The other part is that this is the same party that has been fighting the government. When we called for revolution in 2019, over 26 states participated. The federal government had to spend almost 10 billion naira to stop that protest. So you can imagine the structures that are willing, capable, and courageous enough to face an aggressive state or regime. What is election to them?
Do you think a personality and the party that it represents are one of the same, or do you think you can distinguish a personality from a party? I say that to ask you a question. Should you win the elections, would you be working with people from other political parties that you're currently opposing, or do you write them off as one of the same?
No, if the moment we win the election, everybody will be coming as representative of their own constituencies. We must work with them. We must find a way around, a balance. But what we will not do is to work with them against the people. Are you getting my point? So there was a news item yesterday in which President Buhari supposedly said that the National Assembly inserted 1.3 trillion naira in what they call budget padding into the budget. He couldn't explain it. Well, I won't be the president that is signing off on a budget that is padded. No, I won't do that because it will be against the people. I'd rather that money is taken out and given to us to solve, futuristic problems that is facing the education sector. So that's one area. I'm just giving that as an example. But if you are there for progress, we will work together. And we may have differences, but we can work around those differences and focus on the progress that we need for the people. That's what I am about. So I can work with anybody. I can sit down with anybody. I sit down with my enemies all the time in government, but they are all aware that it won't be on the basis of compromises that would not make life easy for
Even
me.
if Nigeria is due for a change,
Yes.
do you think Nigerians are ready to make that change in the 2023 February 25th elections?
Yes, I believe that Nigerians are always ready for a change because they are the ones calling for a change all the time.
And you think they're ready to be demonstrable about that change by...
Well, this is why we engage in a different kind of campaigning. It's not only to say, it's not only to listen to you say we want change. It's to also turn them into change agents. That you must demonstrate that you want this change you want. And the best way to do it peacefully and democratically is to vote for the right kind of persons. So that you don't come back 6 months after election that, oh, we need another kind of change because this is not what we voted for. That's where consciousness and education and conscientization is important. And you can conscientize people during, after elections. That's what we have done, and that's probably why people see us differently. That we're just different. A lot of the political elites are not comfortable with those kind of people like us because we are challenging the status quo ante. But it doesn't mean that the people are not ready for us. People have been ready for us since 1960. Yes.
All right. That's very interesting to hear. The people have been ready, and they're ready to make that change, and you're ready to be the leader to
Absolutely.
bring about that change.
Yes.
All right, so we'll be taking some calls soon. Remember, we're speaking with the AAC presidential candidates, 2023 presidential candidate of the African Action Congress. He has a radical agenda to pull Nigeria out of the doldrums and take Nigeria to a better place. His name is Mr. Omoyele Sowore, and he's right here with us in the studio. Remember to join the conversation. You can tweet at Lagos Talks 913. That is at Lagos Talks 913. Use the hashtag The Recap. You can also call the phone lines as well and drop us a message on WhatsApp 0809-234-5913. That is 0809-234-5913. The phone lines are 0809-1913913, 0809-222-0913. It's been 7 years and counting since President Muhammadu Buhari assumed office as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yes.
What has been your experience so far? What are some of the highlights of his administration?
I think if there's anyone in Nigeria who could talk about having a terrible experience with the Buhari regime, it would be me. You know, I'll be one of the major actors in this dispensation. And I can tell you categorically that it has been a terrible experience all through, not just for me, but the people of Nigeria. It's been harrowing. That's the best way to put this appropriately. And I don't know anybody who would disagree with that except cronies of the regime who are benefiting from the terrible situation that the country has found itself. And you have evidence to show for this. You have the regime turning Nigeria to the poverty capital of the world. It became a major statistical disaster over the years. You know, terrorism, banditry, you know, an economic disastrous era. I think we've been through almost 3 depressions economically. The value of the naira, you know, went from something manageable to a toilet paper. That's the way I can describe this. You know, schools are closed for 9 months at a time. I'm talking about higher institutions. You know, and this happened also in the midst of, you know, a global tragedy of immense proportion. That was COVID. So, so we don't really know. We're not going to know how bad things are until the regime is gone.
Wow.
Yes.
So you have no highlights, no positives, no positive experience so far from the past 7 years in counting?
If you do, you can tell me, but I don't.
Absolutely not.
No.
Not even from the, you know, some of the bills that were passed, like the PIA, you know, some of the bills, the Electoral Act, which I believe will, you know, be beneficial to you.
No, the Electoral Act, you know, you see every 4 years, every election cycle, there's almost an act every 4 years. And it does the same thing. It keeps people hoping for the best, and then the worst happens. And then they'll go back and create another Electoral Act. So what we know is that elections don't happen because of Electoral Acts, but in spite of Electoral Acts. It's still going to be people with integrity and dignity and honesty that conduct free and fair elections. But the act doesn't. It's people that will do that. Because the regime, as you know, it is largely a lawless regime. It doesn't even act upon its laws. It doesn't accept decision of its courts if it doesn't favor the regime. It's hopeless. Yes.
Let's go to the phone lines now. So you know, it's a phone-in program, and of course we'd like to hear from our listeners that have been listening across the world. We have Omoyele Sowore right here in the studio, and you can join the conversation, but remember to keep it simple. No name calling, no character assassination. Just go straight to the point with your questions or contributions and just join the conversation. 015150913, 015150913, or 0809 1913-913-0809-222-0913. Lagos Talks.
Hello, good evening.
Welcome. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Rana Boy. I'm calling from GI.
All right, join the conversation.
I agree with your guest.
All right.
You have a question. No, with the online polls and all of the noise that Peter Obi has been getting, all the support and all of that, don't you think it's better you, let's just say, collapse your structure and support this man? Because let's be realistic. With the way this thing are going, I really don't see you standing a chance of winning the election. So it's just like a question. I just call to ask if there's any way you can collapse your structure and see how you can support this man. Thank you.
Interesting question.
Known about the election. Nobody knows when we win the election until the election is over. So I've heard so many of these comments. You know, their assumption is that some candidate will win the election. Every candidate in this election is a potential winner of the election.
Indeed.
But every supporter is also a potential prophet of a winner of the election. So you hear a lot of prophecies. In fact, there were people who prophesied that Argentina will lose the World Cup. After they won, they are still prophesying. You know, they go back to church next time and said, well, if they had fielded one candidate, or if Argentina has collapsed the structure for Brazil, Brazil would have won. Does it make sense? Because they are in a competition. So I'm in competition against your candidate. You asked me to collapse my structure.